All right. Sunday was just on a rant. So let's do a stream. This. I decided to stream this one. We'll see. We'll see if this is a train wreck or not. I just like this note. This is an iPhone 5S here for rush data, and this guy says the phone got wet and it won't boot. All I want is the pictures taken on March 10th. There's 10 of them. I already have a new phone. I don't care about this one. And the pictures show a snowy road in snow and me with, quote, really large brown trout. 2 of them. One is the biggest trout of my life. And I am kneeling in that picture. He really, really, really wants these trout pictures. So we're going to see if we can get him these trout pictures, or we will miserably fail in live stream disappointment. So let's see what the deal is. So let's open up this phone. And let's see. I'm loving my new modified walker, which is great. I've got my reballing supplies on there. I've got a place to put things that I've invoiced so that the team will know where to find them. So I'm loving my walker mod. I don't know where I put my iSesamo to get into this phone. Well, I'd sure hate to have to steal from Jean, but it may come to that. Let's see if this will work to get this open. We'll see. Sunday was just on a rant about special snowflakes. It's really kind of interesting around here. There's Sunday is a Trump voter. Nobody else around here would ever dream of voting for Trump. And it's fun because everybody cares about each other and respects each other's viewpoints. So it's interesting to be able to have an environment where you can have these discussions. So her rant was about how she noticed that the women that are complaining about the administration being all guys are generally not business women that are kind of in a good job themselves. So she's kind of, don't knock it till you've tried it. How do you know? She said she would feel completely differently if most of these women were professional business women with good jobs that wanted to complain that they couldn't get these administration jobs. But she's just like, yeah, no, you're not even trying. Just complaining without trying. All right, let's see if we can get this phone open. We are going to start soon a parts store where we will sell things like one of my favorite tools, little tiny tools and stuff that I super highly recommend. This one is the standoff driver, and the standoff driver goes in these standoff screws, like this screw here. This screw. And look, it's just so perfect. No more trying to make the little flat blade standard driver fit in that. It's just, it's like strangely satisfying to put the standoff driver in the standoff screw and just have it fit exactly. Oh my God, that's so sexy, amazing, just love it. Once you go standoff driver, you will never go back. So we're gonna sell standoff drivers as one of the sort of, kind of weird fun things that every shop owner should have, standoff drivers. So hopefully making a video like this will help me get around to updating and making a web store. We're going to move the website and get busy with stuff like that. Let's see. I just did a screen replacement on my iPhone 6s Plus. Well, I just did a screen replacement on an iPhone 6s Plus too. That was the last job I did. On mine, I had to open it back up a second time and reseat the ear speaker because the ear speaker was not making good connection. And honestly, I felt like a total noob the whole time I was doing it. I rarely do things like screen replacements, so I'm just like terrified of tearing the home flex and doing some kind of a newbie fuck up. But it worked out. It took forever. But we were happy to be able to help the lady that walked in. Let's see. Hello, Granny. Did you listen to Lewis's book reading yesterday? Of course I listened to his book reading. I sent him that book. That book, Fascinating Womanhood. There's a video from a few days ago where I was reading excerpts of it with Mark, which was really fun. And I'm so intrigued by that book. I found it a few years ago. And it's a book that makes you just want to throw up in your mouth the entire time, where you're just eye rolling and oh my God. But it's undeniable that there's this kernel of truth, and you don't know how much of it is kind of this like hard to admit truth that's there. I mean, I really think that men marry capable women, and the fact that the capable woman was willing to marry that guy, smart, strong men appreciate and like the sort of badge of pride that look at how capable my wife is, not that she needs to be afraid of spiders and whatever it said in there, afraid of heavy traffic. I mean, that book just makes you laugh. It's so funny, but it also makes you think. The beginning part of it is kind of a lot of intro, so it would be more fun just to hear Lewis just kind of randomly flip through some pages and then just kind of talk about it. But with that stream, I was blown away by his perseverance for 3 hours to just sit there and read that. He didn't really engage with chat. He was just reading it, which it was like watching someone run a marathon who had never ran a step before in their life. You just kind of get up off the couch and start running. And you're just like, okay, how long are you going to last? And he ran for 3 hours nonstop. It was really crazy. That was pretty impressive, I have to say. All right, I'm just going to pop these shields off. So I use my technique of just putting hot air on the shields. And I'm going to do it close to the table here so that they come off nice. So those shields are off. Once you go standoff, you don't go back. That is exactly right. Do you use standoff drivers, Michael Oberdick? It is totally, totally true. Is opening a repair store still a wise choice? I'm from Canada. Sure. There's, I think opening any business, I guess I'll say no. Opening any business statistically means that you have a 95% chance of failure, because statistically, 95% of all small businesses are not around 5 years later. So is opening a business a good idea? No, you're almost certainly going to fail. However, that doesn't have to be true. I really recommend a book called The E-Myth Revisited if you are new to business, because most people start a business because they want to be a technician. So they kind of really like the technical aspect rather than being an entrepreneur. So most people kind of start a business because they hate their boss or they think they could do a better job. So I'm just going to go into business for myself. So that is not a great way to go into business, because in order to do well, you have to also be a strong manager and you have to be a visionary. So you have to be able to take risks, and you have to be able to do a lot more than just, hey, I'm pretty good at fixing stuff. That's not enough. And as a result, you can pretty easily start a business and it will be driven just by the passion of the founder. But then you ultimately need to, you'll end up kind of being a product of your own success for a while. And in your old job, you were working, let's say, 8 hours a day. As a business owner, you're going to be working 12 hours a day, and then when that's not enough, 14 hours a day, and then 16 hours a day will consume you. And eventually you'll hit a breaking point, and you're going to have to adapt. And that seems to be the fate of most small businesses. So if you're smart, then sure, you can do it. And it's just something that you have to be really strategic about. I think you're going to be good in business if you're good at playing board games. You're just a really strategic person. All right, so under here, I just see a little bit of water damage here on the back side of the board. That's a bad cap, so it looks like it would have gotten wet up there. And I'm looking for other water damage signs. This is a little bit of a rusty coil, a little bit of rust around there. And this is before putting in ultrasonic because I don't want to erase my clues. There's a little bit there, not really. All right, and then let's look at the connector area. So we've got a little bit of damage here. But overall, this phone looks almost too good. When they look this good, then it's like really likely that you're going to have like software corruption, where the problem was, the battery was throwing errors and it corrupted the software or something like that. 'Cause this looks extremely minor. Well, we want to look around here. Their only kind of hope is some of this front camera area. That front camera problems on the 5S will lead to blue screen of death, which is software corruption. So that could be what's going on here. But none of this really looks like it would be a deal breaker for the phone from a water perspective. All right, before putting it in ultrasonic, I'm going to just go ahead and see if the VCC main rail, the main artery of the phone, has any kind of short or not. So let's check on that. And it does not seem to have a short, which I wouldn't expect it to. So that makes this one quite likely to be software corruption, which is going to be a bummer because we won't be able to help out with that. But let's go put this in ultrasonic and maybe we'll get lucky. We rarely see, easy phones that just need parts, but I guess there's a chance that this is a parts problem because this is a wet screen. But I could tell the phone was missing a screw, so somebody's opened it up before, so that's also unlikely. It might be more likely if you were a shop where somebody was walking in off the street. Let's see what is going on in chat while we wait for ultrasonic. Let's see. Hi, Jess, and make a wonder again. You mean a walker? One's enough. Let's see. They are great. Oh, yeah. Trotsky Online sells standoff drivers. Lots of people thought Lewis had lost it last night. I fell asleep listening to him. Yeah, me too. I mean, I think Lewis has a great radio voice for falling asleep. He's like the ladies' man on Saturday Night Live. Opened an iPhone 6 today. Apple new, quote, new. Customer cracked screen, no warranty. Now the phone is not booting anymore. It shows the Apple logo and shuts off. Remove shields. And they were full of flux. TriStar and U2, which is the same, so I don't get that changed, and other. Yeah, there you go. Richard wants to come to school. Lewis started streaming. Oh, yeah, you guys should all go watch Lewis's stream. He sent me, I'm almost certain he's going to talk about this phone call he got, which is hilarious. He called, this lady called him. It's his story to tell, but I was blown away that he actually, like, who does this? He says to this lady, like, there's just this one line. He says to the lady, I don't mean to be mean, but that is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Just like, I don't mean to be mean, but that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Like, being able to actually say that to someone right or straight to their face, that only he can do that. Let's see. Your brother is live too. Great. Bigger fan. When I have a problem with a 5S, there's a lot of components connected to ground and around the antenna. How do I know the ones that are allowed and the ones that can cause a problem? That's a great question. How do you know what is required on a phone? What's the answer? Well, you get a phone that is known good, and you take stuff off and see what happens. So you have to experiment sometimes. All right, let's grab that out of the ultrasonic. All right. Is your ZXW up and running? I guess so. I used it a while ago. All right, I'm going to just dry off this board with some heat so that we can check it out. And really, this board is either going to work, just needed a bath, and it will work with a known good housing, which is one possibility, or it's going to Apple logo and blue screen, which is another possibility, and that will likely mean software corruption, and there's no path to data with that in the absence of long screw damage. There is static in the audio, probably because there's a hot air station running right next to that. Okay, with the help of your videos, I just repaired 2 MacBooks this week, which Apple had refused to repair. Fantastic. When did you get the last update of your ZXW? I try to not update my ZXW ever, if possible. All right, let's see how this board did with the Crest Ultrasonic Cleaner. All right, so there is a little bit of corrosion here. I'm just going to test to see if that cap is short, because I wouldn't want to start the phone if it had front camera area shorts. All right, that cap is not short. And I just want to make sure I've got continuity through some of these filters, just to make sure that I'm not contributing to some kind of an event where this phone might try to start and then get some kind of a software corruption from that. All right, so does anybody else really look bad around here? I'm going to say no. All right, that all looks fine. Let's see, anything else worth addressing right now before we try to see what kind of category of problem this is? Seems okay. And then back here, seems okay. Yeah, there's just not any water back here. I doubt that this would have any impact on booting this little one cap here. That seems okay. All right, so that would be enough evidence for us to try and power on. Paul S., I did get your email today with the picture of your Photoshop job of Lewis standing next to his own store that had as a big Hillary Clinton sign photoshopped in the window. I did send it to him. I thought that was pretty funny. Nicely done. All right, let's see if we can come up with a doc and see what is up with this phone. All right. So I'm going to plug in a dock, and I'm going to plug in the DC power supply so that we can see what the phone looks like as it attempts to boot, and that'll help us classify what kind of a problem it might have. Or maybe it's normal. I'm hoping this phone just boots up normal, because otherwise it's going to be unlikely to be solved. let's see. All right. They should invent SMD that turn red when they fail. I don't know who that is. All right, let's go ahead and put on the DC power supply and see what this board is going to do. Let's see what this board is going to do. Come on, connector. Okay. So before prompt to boot, the DC power supply says 0, which is good. 0 current consumption before prompt to boot is good. So let's see what happens when we prompt it to boot with a USB input. So I'm prompting it to boot, and it is hanging out. Oh, it's moving around a little bit. It's 170 milliamps. It's kind of just sitting at 170 milliamps. So 170 milliamps is not good. I'm going to prompt it again. So it's hanging out 170 milliamps. That's low. I'm going to see if it has the same result if I try to start it with a power button. So let's go back to 0, and we're going to just slide some tweezers down the power flex and see what happens. All right, prompting to boot with the power button. It looks normal just for a second, and then it will just kind of hang at this 160, 170 milliamps. All right, let's look at the screen and see if there's any activity. And I think I can see backlight but no image. I'm going to peel the screen so that I can check. Backlight, no image, and that result seems really likely that this phone has software corruption and is sitting in DFU mode on its own, which is a drag. All right, so I'm separating the backlight so that I can see it. Separating backlight and image. All right, so I'm going to start the phone again and see what it does. Really need to arrange this setup so that you guys can see what's going on. Yep, so I see backlight comes on. Backlight comes on, but there is no image. That seems incredibly likely to be a phone that is auto-booting to DFU, so we will see if that is the case. So I'm going to plug in a USB connector, and it is detected, and it'll be detected. Yep, it's detected in DFU mode. Or no, it's detected in recovery mode. All right, so it's detected in recovery mode. Okay, so now what do we do? So this phone is in recovery mode, which means it has software corruption. So that's tough. That kind of decreases the likelihood that it can be solved. But here's what I'm going to do for this phone. It doesn't have any real visual damage on the board. So honestly, the most likely case is that this board, that somebody like really wanted it to start, and so they just tried to start it, kept putting charge into the battery and trying to get it to start. My guess is that this battery is bad on the gas gauge line, and therefore, if you do that enough times, then the phone will end up corrupting the software, because every time it tries to start and it doesn't get clear gas gauge information, then it's going to write that to a kernel panic log. that is stored in the user partition where the user data is. And if that happens enough time, then eventually it leads to software corruption. And the only way past that is to restore the phone. My guess is that if you restored this phone right now, it would totally be fine, because I don't really see a bona fide hardware defect. But because this is rush data and this seems really, really important to this guy, we will kind of cross everything out. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if there is any kind of unusual measurements at the hard drive power lines, and then I'm going to change TriStar just as a matter of good housekeeping. Then I'm going to put it with a new battery, and then I would try to update it by iTunes. So that would be my thing. I could try. Davida says to use rec boot or something like that. I'll do that, but that almost never solves these phones. But we'll try. All right. So let's see. Where is NAND power on these guys? Just had a 5C that had a strange single cap failure on one of these lines. Let's see. I almost want to like just look for where that one was. It's funny when you see something one time, even though you've never seen it before, then you look for it all the time. All right, so let's just kind of probe around. I'm not really sure which ones are the NAND power rails in the 5S, but I'm going to guess it's probably these guys. So that does not seem odd. So I'm just looking for like a short. And so far I don't see anything that would be short. All right, so just as a matter of good housekeeping, I'm going to just make sure that the most common non-water damage failure, and I don't think this would fail in this phone from water damage. I'm just gonna, am I pronouncing your name wrong? I really don't have any idea, and I don't think you're gonna be able to tell me. Which is, by the way, is completely different than how Mark pronounces your name. So we don't know. It's a big mystery for us. We'll have to find out when we all go to China, which will be really fun. When I go to China, get some parts and tools and learn new stuff. All right. Let's just go ahead and change out this TriStar chip. My microscope seems like it's getting cloudier every day. And my tweezers, which were beautiful just 24 hours ago, I come in today and they look like this. For shame, for shame. Get out of here. All right, let's get a new one of these. So how many of you guys went over to check out Lewis's stream? I want to know if he's talking about the person who called him today or not. Gotta know. All right, that's all we need to do for that. Let's throw another chip on there, and let's see what I have in the 1610 chip department today. We are going to put on, I think this is a 1610. We did confirm that the new iPhone 7 TriStar chip will be backwards compatible, will work on this. So that might be one of them. Nope, that's a regular old straight up 1610. You don't need tiny umbrella, just reset. What the hell are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. U2 chip. Technically, this is the U2 chip because it's a 5S. However, it's not always in the U2 position, although it's always the same chip. So if you call it U2, then after a while, that doesn't make sense, because if this is an iPhone 7, for example, it won't be the U2 chip, and there will be some other chip that's the U2 chip. So we've, about a year ago, stopped calling this thing U2, which is its position in the 5, the 5C, and the 5S, I think. Might be wrong on that. And we started just calling it the TriStar chip, which is what is called in the schematic. Same thing for the chestnut chip. The chestnut chip in the 5C is in the U3 position. But there is, even in the iPhone 5, in the U3 position, is a different chip that's also important that kind of comes into, sometimes fails, but it's completely different. So in the 5, the U3 chip is the little dude that controls the power and home button buffer. And in the 5C, the U3 chip is a little dude that controls the display and image voltages. So if you keep calling things by their board location in one phone, and that chip is used in lots of phones, then you get confused. All right, so let's see. Richard says, I could not listen to him read a book. Although one good thing that came about it is that he did not swear. Ha! Huh. Yeah, the world seems to be divided into people that are highly offended by other people using certain words and other people that don't give a shit. What do you think about cloning the NAND IC? There's an article on the internet explaining this. What do you mean cloning it? You mean taking a dump of its data? I don't know. I mean, you can do that. It's encrypted, so nobody knows how to decrypt the data that's on the NAND. You can image it. I'm not sure if that's what you mean. Or if you're talking about just taking the, the encrypted part here, and then there's the unencrypted information about the chip that is not encrypted and therefore readable, and you can use a NAND reader to read that information and then write it to another chip. So I'm not sure if you're talking about that. Jessa, did you have any iPhone 7 come in for a repair yet? Just a few. We really haven't seen a lot, which tells me that the iPhone 7 is a pretty tough old dog. So iPhone 7 gets run over and crushed and goes through lawnmowers. Those are all pretty big problems. We haven't seen any systematic board level defects. They'll probably get TriStar disease, but they're still too young for that. Let's see. Tiny Umbrella is software which can kick an iDevice out of recovery mode. Yes, it is, but it was really developed back around the iPhone 4 and 3G time. So now if the phone is in recovery mode, it's almost never has its software intact, so that if you were to kick it out of recovery mode, which Tiny Umbrella can kick any phone out, but I'd say 95%, maybe even 99% of the time, with a phone that's auto booting to recovery mode, Tiny Umbrella will, it's software corruption. Tiny Umbrella doesn't cure software corruption. All it does is make it not boot in recovery mode. All right, so you guys are streaming at the same time. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we're not like on a schedule or something. I was, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I was telling him about Sunday's amazing skills in sales and customer service today. Let's see. But I do want to know, who's going to tell me? Is Lewis talking about the phone call he got today or not? That's what I want to know. All right, so I'm going to look around for a known good housing I may even grab a new battery. I want a really good battery. I don't want a battery that has any kind of strangeness going on. All right, I'm going to check the voltage on this battery to see what is what. Voltage on this battery, 4.2. All right, sounds good. Don't forget to stop by. 4 people, I was pretty impressed with that. 4 people signed up for a trial of Repair Shopper, the repair shop management software. So 4 people that watched yesterday's Pimp My Walker stream signed up for a trial of Repair Shopper. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So don't forget to click my link in the description. If you are thinking about it and you go watch Lewis's videos, make sure to come back and click my link and not his link, because he's also gonna sponsor those guys. They're gonna sponsor him, I guess. All right, so we will get I guess we can stick with the same screen and see what the deal is. All right, so we can't find any other hardware defect, so we're gonna go ahead and say that it's safe. Well, let me ask him. I want to know if he's gonna talk about his thing. Where is that conversation? Close, close, close. Not that, not that. Gotta close some damn windows around here. Time to shut the window. All right. Are you going to talk about your phone call? Let's see. He probably won't get that until he's done. Okay. Was the best of streams. Where can I buy the dildo toolkit? I don't know. I need to make a list of things that, like, actual Amazon link products that people care about. Like, where can you buy dildo tools, a pink little dildo toolkit, and make some links for reasonable stuff like that. All right, so we're going to start up this phone. The only other possible, oh, I see an Apple logo. And it's booting in recovery mode, most likely. All right, so first order of business is to see if we can get, let's see if you guys can follow this screen, which is really messy. Let's give it a shot. Exit recovery mode. So again, Apple logo. Now, come on, be in the 5% that can boot now. Nope, so there you go, exactly the same. All right, so there you go, as predicted. If you just try to use one of these tiny umbrella style things, it doesn't really solve anything. It just makes it kick out of recovery, and if it has a software defect, it will boot right back into recovery. All right. So what we're gonna go ahead and let it update, and it will either update or fail. So my guess is that it will fail, and if it fails with error 27, that's the real, like, sort of, you're totally screwed. If it fails with some other error, there are some things that we might be able to try. But error 27 is what happens when you have this sort of bad gas gauge battery that sits in a phone and collects these errors. And to my knowledge, there is no path to data with error 27. But let's find out. So let's go ahead and see. So we'll go to the screen, which should be this. And let's hit update. Update. And now it's just going to chug along. So we'll just let it do that. And we'll come back and hang out. Let's see. Why did you start fixing phones? I feel like I tell these same stories so often that they're just tired. I started fixing phones when my kids started breaking them. So the first phone that I ever fixed was my own iPhone 4S that my little girls dropped into a toilet that I then couldn't get out of the toilet. And I got really frustrated with not being able to get it out. And I really tried. because I tried, let's try to get it out with a plunger, fail. Let's try to get it out with a drill with an auger, fail, but I could hear something clinking around in there. We're going to see if this thing is starting an update or not. It has the Apple logo and it has a slider bar, but it hasn't made anything happen past that. So this is just going to sit there and we will see if it fails or not. And then I dragged the toilet out onto the front lawn like people do and sledgehammered it and got my iPhone 4S out of it. And then I didn't know how to fix phones. Hey, internet, how do you fix phones? Put your phone in rice. Okay. Threw it in rice. Rice does absolutely nothing. Rice certainly doesn't fix phones. And ended up finding my way to iFixit. Took it apart, took the board out, cleaned the board with toothbrush and alcohol, and put it back together. And I ordered a new battery, and it would boot with a new battery. Yay, it's fixed, yay! But it wasn't fixed because it wouldn't recognize the charger. It wouldn't charge at all. So then I found my way to iFixit. What about a phone that doesn't charge? Have you tried changing the charge port? Okay. And I remember thinking that was really hard, that I sat there, like, you've got to take out the logic board. Oh my God, there's so many screws, and, kids, get out of the house. This is going to be an all-day affair. And taking that logic board out and then changing out the charge port on a 4S. I was too stupid to realize you could just overlay it and see if it works. And then it was the same thing. Well, maybe it was defective. Order another one. Same thing everyone does. And ultimately, I became convinced that this phone had a board level charging defect. So is there any way to fix that? Motherboard charging defect. And somebody, old turkey, good old turkey, which is a guy named Mike from Texas who's a nurse, and he likes to hang out and answer people's questions when I fix it. And he pointed me to a picture of the motherboard that said, here's a charging coil, which of course it's never the coil. But, he kind of pointed that there's a little Lego on there. And in theory, you could change that if you had the right tools. And that seemed really up my alley. So I ended up buying, it's just as a hobby for fun, I bought a microscope and I bought the cheap, crappy soldering station that no one should ever use. And I tried to fix it. And it took me 2 years to fix that phone, because what I actually did was overheat the underfilled power management chip because I had no idea. But I hung on to it and ultimately fixed that phone. And it was really a fun process. So from there, I started looking for phones that I could repair. And at the time, you could still buy them on eBay. You could buy even just cracked screen phones on eBay. All right, let's find out what the bad news is here, because this doesn't seem to be making any progress. Oh, just as predicted. Wah, wah, wah. Let's go to screen, and you can see that are you able to see that message? Yes, I think so. So totally as predicted, it called it. This phone has failed update with error 27. So now it's a really clear story that we at least know the story of this phone, which is that this phone had no real bona fide board level defect at all. That the problem with it is that it got wet, and this is so crucial. It got wet, and then and it had important pictures on it. And when it got wet, the owner needed to open it up and like the first time that it had a problem, or it would have booted but had a little irregularity with the charge percentage thing. Change the battery. This was just a bad battery. This was a bad battery that killed this phone. Even now, this phone has no problem, and it will restore and be a phone again. It has really no damage. So there's no defect. It was a bad battery that someone just tried and tried and tried. And this error 27 I hate more than anything, because it's so preventable. If you don't try to fuck with phones that have important data on them, then you don't run into this problem. This is just hopefulness in its worst form, just trying and trying and trying and leaving it on to charge and trying and trying and trying again. But once you have asked a phone to boot when it has a gas gauge defect X number of times, and I don't know what that number is, then it writes an error log every single time. Like if you look at iBackupBot, for example, on a, like we could do an experiment where if you took off the gas gauge filter, or I bet that if I took a regular 5S and installed it in this guy's housing, that you could see it starting to write gas gauge errors. If I had one, I would do it. I don't think I have any 5S. Yeah, I don't have any 5S working board around that I could use for that example. But I do have a 5C. Kind of want to do that. Let's see if I can do that. But yeah, so this is no path to data. The phone has a corrupted software, so that is sad. All right. Let's see. Before fixing phone, what were you doing? I was a stay-at-home mom, which was super fun. Love that job, which is professional fun haver and toilet cleaner, I think. Cleaning lady and fun haver. That's what the stay-at-home mom job is. I'm going to see. I feel like I had right around here my student 5Cs. Let's see, is this student 5Cs? Yes. All right, this might be fun. Let's see. Charges. All right. Let's see what happens. This is totally, that's not going to work, Johan. I mean, I could do it. So Johan is suggesting that I try to do one of these updates that does not erase user data. But in my experience, those tools, they are identical to update. So if you can update, and it fails update, then it will always fail any of the custom IPSWs that don't erase user data. No one that does this, there's no case that I've ever seen where a phone that fails update will pass a custom IPSW that doesn't erase the data. So the usefulness of those custom IPSWs is for a phone that's only in DFU, not recovery mode. This phone was in recovery mode, it was recognized in recovery mode and gave the option to update. So in a case where there is no option to update, so if it could update, it might pass, but there's no option to update, so true DFU, then those tools are useful because then you can make the phone update anyway instead of doing a restore. But in my experience, if you look at them and see what is the difference between the IPSW and the custom IPSW that's the no erase variety, they're identical to update. So there's no difference between update IPSW and the custom ones. That's my opinion. I mean, I would probably, sure I could try that, but doing this many times, that's not going to work. Certainly not with Error 27. All right. I mean, in fact, I would love to hear if anyone in the entire world has ever been able to get data from an Error 27 phone. To me, Error 27 phones are the unrecoverable. There's absolutely no path to data because what's required is to selectively erase chunks of the NAND, and that's not possible if the phone can't boot into the iOS. So let's just do this little fun thing. So I have a 5C, and a 5C and a 5S battery can click into a 5C. So I'm interested. I mean, I don't know, maybe this battery was wet and is now dry, so it's not really going to answer our question. But I'm interested to know what happens if I connect the customer's, at least it was a formerly bad battery, I don't know about now. What happens if I connect this battery to a 5C board? I want to see if I see those gas gauge errors that I believe lead to Error 27. So let's, I guess I'm going to have to take his battery out of his housing in order to do that. So let's play a fun game called Can Jessa Pull Out a Battery Without Breaking Off the Pull Tabs? Let's see. Let's also look real close. I mean, this battery doesn't look bad in any way. Well, let's try to dig this sucker out. That's kind of hard to do under the microscope. But we'll try it anyway. All right, let's see. I'm going to snip it to do both sides. If this was an Android phone, then you'd boot into a custom recovery and, yeah, exactly. If this was an Android phone, you would have a lot more options. Exactly. And that's like one of these things. Like once I sent a message to like one of the like super experienced software guys that was just like, man, how can we work together to try to get a solution for error 27? Really, the solution for error 27 is education. If you have a phone that's wet and it has data on it, like your biggest ever trout picture, I mean, that's a really important thing to this guy. Don't try, just take it to a competent place immediately. This phone had no damage. Water like practically didn't hit the board at all. So if he had just opened it up and taken it to any shop, they could have helped it. If he had sent it here immediately, just don't play with it, because you can turn a repairable, recoverable phone into an error 27 phone so easy. Easy does it. Yeah, easy does it. Except I'm too impatient for easy does it. Easy does it. All right, I gotta change these cameras around. I think this stream would actually be kind of informative and cool if you could, look here as well as this sort of main camera. Not being able to see DC power supply. Really should just put a little camera on a tripod that just looks right here. All right, we've almost got one side out. Almost. And these things are long snots. Come on, come to mama. Yeah, there you go. One side done, yay. All right, let's try the other side. Let's see if we can look professional. Now, this is one of the things with the Apple authorized providers. I tore it. The Apple authorized service providers, if you can't pull out both of your battery strips successfully, like I just failed, then you have to go out to your customer that you were like, sure, I'll change your battery, it takes 10 minutes. You have to go back and tell them, actually, and to the letter of the law with Apple, you have to say, yeah, I can no longer do this job at all. I'm gonna have to send your phone away, and have the mothership replace your battery because I tore a strip instead of just getting it out the old-fashioned way. I really don't want to damage this battery because it's the information from the battery itself that's what I really am interested in. So I'm going to try to find another end of this pull strip maybe. I would prefer not to damage the power flex either, but I don't know if I can be so lucky. All right, let's see. Give me a strip. Come on. Just give me a little piece of it. And we'll try to grab it. Oh, these phones just make me so sad when it's like, I picked this one to do because the guy seemed like super excited, and they're just so sad when it is like totally preventable. It's one thing if it's hey, this is just all shot to hell with shorts everywhere and we changed 10,000 chips and we can't get it. Yeah, well, you tried, but if it is, oh yeah, you really didn't have anything wrong with this phone other than a bad battery, and you have fucked it because you tried to get it to work without bringing it to a pro. Sucks. That sucks. All right, and the question is, can the NAND fixer do anything here? Nope. I bought the, I mean, I'm really not interested in doing like NAND upgrades or anything like that. You know, what we do is just a shit ton of data recovery. And I bought it specifically for, you know, hoping that it could do something to help with error 27, and it cannot. All right, let me get some tweezers I can grab. Let's see. Mark mentioned about CPU issue in a chat about the searching no service. Yeah, that's pretty standard. Baseband CPU. Everybody knows that. Pretty well-known problem by now. It's really gonna suck when I blow up this battery by my trials here. Let's see. All data is encrypted, yes. I wish I could find it. We've been short a tech and haven't reviewed just yet. Don't know what that's about. All right, there's this guy's battery. All right, so here's his battery, and let me grab my 5C board, and I need a 5C dock. This isn't going to work. I have no clue with, this is not going to work, because what I want to do is I want to ask the phone to, I want it to connect to iTunes. In order to do that, I need to have display, touch, blah, 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 in order to get the information that I need. I wonder if I have any 5S's here that I do know that information. All right, let's just see. Let's just see. I think I'm going to start with a new 5C battery and just see whether or not this sort of student board, this is just one of our student project boards. So I'm going to plug in a 5C battery that's new. I don't know if it's good, but I would suspect that it is. And let's just see what this does. We'll do some science. Everybody likes science. Usually you guys, I can make it so you guys can at least see that. Let's tip this camera down maybe. All right, so let's see what this does with does this thing charge even? All right, so this is charging at, yeah, 51, which means that this board is in DFU mode, most likely. Let's grab a different board. Let's try this one. I don't think we've even tested to see if any of these have display. We definitely don't have iCloud or passcode information for any of them. All right, so this board is charging normally. So I've got a 5C that's charging normally. This is normal charging current. And let's just kind of see if it boots up. Let's see. He's going to be more pissed if it wasn't him and it was a shop that tried powering. Yeah, he is. And rightfully fucking so. You know, that's why I do this channel. If you're a shop, don't fuck around with people's data because you can make repairable, recoverable phones unrecoverable. Yeah, so this phone had been open before. So if he went to a shop, and that's a typical way for people to find their way to me, that, you know, and the shop just didn't bother to even, or if the shop used a bad battery to try this, that would really be, that would suck. But it can help with error 4013. Sure, not for data, but you can recover from that. That's right. How do you deal with battery corrosion on a board? Clean it off just like anything else. Hi, Jessa. Will a new CPU that they sell on AliExpress work when I solder it back to a faulty CPU board? Nope. Jessa, you should do a shootout to the jailbreak guys. A shout out, yeah. They might be able to build a custom firmware to get the data partition. That's exactly what I did. That's what I did, and it didn't really go anywhere. Have I seen any Apple Watches in need of repair? I try to, if I do, I'll go like this. You know, I don't want to see any Apple Watches in need of repair. Apple Watches are incredibly difficult to source parts for, and they're just a nightmare. So nobody should be fixing those. All right. So this battery charges normally, and let's just see what happens if I try to connect this phone, if it's normally detected by iTunes or not. I don't hear it detected by iTunes. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to get the information that we really want out of this. That's okay. All right, so let's see. Assume all batteries are bad. All right. Okay, so this at least charges with this battery. So let's see if this guy's battery, at least can it charge. So let's ask it if it can charge well. So if we change no variable other than now we're plugging in this guy's native battery, does it also charge? So let's see. So we're watching, this is now, I've switched it to this guy's battery. So the battery that I just pulled out of this man's phone. And it is not normal, it is a bad battery. So just as predicted, this is a bad battery. A board that we know, that we just confirmed can charge a normal battery. This is a bad battery. It's just hanging out here. So that means what it really means is that the board requires information from the battery. It requires, the board has to say, hey battery, how's your gas gauge? Oh, it's fine. Okay, great. Then we'll go ahead and charge you at 1 amp. Perfect. I love charging at 1 amp. That's like my total ideal. I know. That little conversation has to happen. And if instead the board says, hey battery, what's up? Oh man, I just went trout fishing. I fell in the water. It was so fucking cold. Oh, that's too bad. Hey, how's your gas gauge? Oh, it's all fucked up. Really? So you won't be able to tell me the percent charge in your battery cells? No, man, it's fucked up. Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'm not going to be able to let you charge at 1 amp. I'm only going to let you charge it a 1/4 amp. Okay, I understand. Oh, and by the way, every time we write this, we go tell mom about this little conversation, she's going to be fucking pissed, and she's going to write this whole error log in the NAND, and eventually you're going to corrupt my data. Get the fuck away! Ah! That's what's going on. That's what's going on here. All right. So I think I think that that's probably all we got for this one. So, data recovery fail, reason, bad battery after water damage. Replace your batteries after water damage, and don't try to make your important data containing phone to turn on. Suck it up and send it out for data recovery before you mess with it. Or else you're gonna say goodbye to your precious pictures, just like this guy did. And that, I think that's it for today. Let me see if there's anything over here to respond to before I sign off. Let's see. When you go to China, see the ZXW dudes and tell them to make the English version and add MacBooks. Okay. iPad Air 2 bent. Nope. Have you seen those vid on YouTube reballing CPU? Oh, sure. Yeah. Those Chinese guys are amazing. That's why I'm going there. MacBook would be great on ZXW. Yes. That was amazing. Please do that as a side job. What? Puppeteering and logic board and batteries. All right. Small 1-minute videos would be perfect. Yeah, that's not happening. All right. Don't forget to go click on the link below and try your free trial of Repair Shopper. It's what we use here at the shop. And right now I'm about to click over to Repair Shopper and break some bad news to this guy about his bad battery killing his phone. Alrighty, that is it. Bye, everybody.